We'll start in the East because that's the first one on my list, and it was the first game of the night last night. The Messi train continues to roll as Messi and friends put down a 5-1 beatdown on New York City FC in the conference finals to make it to their first ever MLS Cup. However, I would say it's probably tough to even say that it was the Messi train because the first time all playoffs, he really wasn't that much of a factor in the goal scoring moments. Right? He had one assist in 5 goals, which again, in a normal day is like, okay, cool, he contributed. For Messi, who's got 25 goal contributions and 27 goals or something like that, is crazy. So, New York City did a pretty good job keeping him under wraps, but it was the players around him that made the difference. And they got off to a very early start. They beat the New York City back line with a long ball over the top, which Allende got on the end of before blasting it past Matt Freese for the 1-0 lead. 7 minutes later, the most ridiculous midfield scrum in all of maybe MLS history kicks off after Maxi Morales and Maxi Falcone just fouled each other. And then they just started like arguing over it. I think Maxi Morales saw yellow, and then he and Falcone were arguing likely about who the best Maxi on the field was. That has to be my guess, because what else would you be arguing over? And then all of a sudden, Busquets, Alba, Allende, everybody just runs in and just starts making a whole mess of it. It's like nothing even happened. And then Messi gets involved. Messi's, finger pointing and stuff. It's like, what are we doing? This nothing happens. But they made it such a big deal. And then after that, New York City switches off. They play a big switch out to Alba, who floats it into the box, and Allende long header past Matt Freese to double the lead. Not a great start. You're thinking at this point, game's over, which is crazy. They were 20 minutes into the game. You're like, oh, well, this one's over. And then Justin Hack brings New York City back into it off of a header from a free kick in a wide area. They go into the half down 1 year thinking that maybe they can do something crazy here. But we said it in the preview that if you have to come out of your shell at any point versus this Miami team, you're in danger, especially if you don't prevent the forward pass. And that's what happened. In the 67th minute, Miami were able to get numbers forward. The ball gets played into Messi's feet in the box. Every single New York City defender and probably every single New York City fan tried to close him down in the box, leaving Silvetti wide open on the edge for an easy finish. Finishing off a 3-1 lead now. Then a brilliant combination in transition between Jordi Alba and Talasco Segovia made it 4-1, sending Taylor Twellman off into some Gen Alpha related vocal sim, which I still don't understand. But apparently everybody was pissed because he said 4-1 and all of their kids just went off the rails. Apparently it's like a 6-7 related comment. I'm now old. I can officially say that I'm now old, and I'm proud of it because I'm glad I don't understand that. But luckily, it didn't last very long because Allende heard that and said, we can't be having this. He then finished off his hat trick in style to cap off a 5-1 win. Unfortunately for everybody who was voting for the Meteor, it did not come in this game. So we all lost, but Messi won. Let's hear your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I mean it's a credit to the outer part of Miami outside of Messi. I mean, I remember in our preview I had talked about if you can shut down Messi, you give yourself a chance. But I think that really undersold the impact of everybody else on that Miami team because they really are a super talented group even without Messi. I think if you swapped out Messi and put somebody else in there, you're probably still looking at a very strong team that could easily still be in the same position that they're in right now. Like they are a very, very good team, and it showed big time today against NYC because, as you mentioned, Messi was just not as prominent as he has been in previous games, and everybody else stepped up. And I think one guy that slips under the radar, and maybe not as much as I'm making it out to be, but just considering how much Messi gets the headlines, I feel like Jordi Alba has been unbelievably good for them. Like he has been phenomenal. Like probably the best fullback in the league so far this season. And he showed it again today in this game. Like what he can do to help the attack has been insane. Like he is just he might as well be a winger. Like he's crazy good in terms of link up play and what he can do. And he showed it with 2 assists, including the one that got Twelming freaking out. In fairness, it was such a slick goal. It was such a pretty goal to watch. But yeah, Miami looks like an unstoppable force right now. I genuinely like. I don't know who's coming in to stop them, but I think Vancouver matches up well enough that maybe they can make it a game. But they're gonna have to like it's going to be you're gonna have to be on your best game in order to take these guys down or even compete with them, honestly, because Miami's rolling through everybody. Not just beating them, they're destroying everybody.
See, I knew you were gonna say something like that. And what
Because it's
sucks is
true. You
what
knew I
sucks
would speak the truth.
what sucks is that the people who didn't actually watch this game and only watched highlights are gonna think that Inter Miami walked this game with no issues and they
It was
destroyed everybody in the
5-1.
and while I'm thrilled that New York City got a deuce dropped on them, there needs to be a little bit of conversation to defend them. And since you fall into the category of the Gen Alpha nerd who can't sit still long enough to watch 90 minutes of a game, I have to be the one to do it. And the only reason I'm going to do it is because I get to point out all of their flaws in the way that this happens, right? There was a legitimate 30 to 40-minute period of this game where New York City was on the front foot controlling the game. You don't see it in the highlights because they didn't score from it, and that's the problem. But they had multiple chances to go level and take the lead. Right at the start of the second half, Rocco's Rios Novos playing out of the back just gives it away to the New York City team, sitting on the top of the box with Maxi Morales, their savior, wide open, have a shot on goal. He tries to play an extra pass and they clean it up. Right. Take on 15 minutes later, Julian Fernandez has a chance unmarked on the back stick that's it forces a really nice save out of Rocco's Rio Novo, but doesn't convert the chance. Right. At the end of the day, if you're not putting away those chances, you're going to leave yourself open for Messi to come get you. But the issue is that people are just going to walk around and be like, "Oh my God, 5-1, they killed it." No effort at all. They had moments in this game, a long time in this game where you're sitting there thinking they haven't touched the ball in 5 minutes, right? They haven't been able to play in transition. They haven't been able to do anything that they need to do to win this game. New York City has a chance to get back in this and they didn't convert their chance. But think about it. You put away both of those chances, right? The shot on the top of the 18 and the goal from play. You're up 3-2 now with, what was that? That was
No, I think
60.
you would have been 2-2 at the time because Hack's goal came after, I believe.
No, Hack's goal came before halftime. Both of those came in the second half. So you would have been up 3-2 and it would have been 20 minutes left. It's a different game now. But now, because you have to chase the game with 20 minutes left instead of defend the game with 20 minutes left, now you're opening yourselves up for Messi to pick you apart and for Miami to pick you apart. The issue with New York City is they didn't take their chances, right? But they had moments in this game where they took it to Miami, and Miami at home looked like they were on the back foot, which is telling for what's going to happen in the second round of the games, right? In that 20 to 30 minute period, I mean, let's put it this way, 40 minutes between goal two and goal three. If I can remember correctly, they only had two shots. And of those two shots, only one of them was actually relatively dangerous. They didn't make their chances count. And once again, they had to chase the game. And once they did, it was over. But when you have your moments, you have to put them away against Miami. And that's the issue. It wasn't that Miami played them off the park. I think Miami, like the last two goals of Miami came in the last 10 minutes of the game when they were pressing. That's not running the team off the park. If it was 5-0 at halftime, that's a different story. But it wasn't. So to people who are saying, oh, Miami walked them off the park, they really didn't. And I'm not saying New York City was bossing the game and they should have won the game, but they had moments to do it. And because they didn't, that again, I'm trying to make it like I don't care. Like I'm very happy they're out and I'm glad that they got walked because God, I hate them. But I don't want to sit here and feed into this idea of like, oh, Miami walked them off the pitch. Messi's a savior, blah, 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 blah. Because at the end of the day, New York City had opportunities to change this game. They didn't take them.
Well, I mean, that's the difference between Miami and pretty much all their opponents that they're going up against. Yeah,
Right.
Miami's definitely going to leave the door open for some opportunities for teams, but you have to take every chance that you get. And that's the thing that Miami does so well right now is that they may not get 100 chances a game, but when they do get their chances, they are so clinical right now. They are finishing every chance that they get. And that's what's making these score lines insane because they're just unbelievably clinical. And some of it is credit to them getting themselves in good positions to have easier opportunities to finish them. And that's how they rack up 2.3 xG and five big chances and finish with five goals. Is because, these aren't like they've had a couple of good goals, right? But they're not like hitting it 40 yards out into the top corner. Like they're getting good, clean opportunities, and they're taking them. Unlike what NYC did. As you mentioned, Maxi Morales has to do something more with that opportunity that Miami basically gifted them. Like that was, I think credit to what you were mentioning. That is a huge game changer.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they fluffed that one up more than the Fernandez one, as much as he was like completely wide open, that was a huge missed opportunity for them, massive one. And it's like
Well,
for a Vancouver team, like you have to be finishing that. And I think Vancouver is in a better spot to be more clinical in those moments than NYC. So I think it'll be a better matchup in the Cup final. But I think that's the biggest difference maker. It's just Miami is just so lethal in the attack right now. They're just hitting it at like they're just being very um,
come on,
clinical with
find the
all their
words.
finishing.
There you go. There you go. The other side of it too is right the timing of it. Right out of the halftime gate, you're on the front foot, you're pressing them high, you're taking the game to them. It finally is going to pay off for you, and you choose not to even take a shot. That's the issue. The issue isn't that Nova made a save, right? Like that on Fernandez's shot, great save, good on him. But the fact you didn't even test them in those moments, that's what's going to kill you because that wakes up Miami now. Like, oh, that's not very good. We probably should switch on and not do that again, right? If you take that moment, now at least when they switch on, you're not chasing the game anymore, right? So it's beautiful part of the game is the moments. It's played. It's 90 minutes that are decided in moments, right? And if you don't take advantage of those moments, the scoreboard looks after itself. And that's why it's such a nuanced game. Like I understand people can't sit and watch all 90 minutes. Oh, it's so boring, right? But it's boring until those moments come through, and that's what's all about. So listen, I think Miami showed some cracks. I think New York City as the 5 seed were not nearly as clinical as they needed to be, and that's expected, right? If you looked at it just based on the scoreline and the highlights, you look at it and say, yep, that's uh that's what we expect out of a Miami versus a 5 seed, right? It goes deeper than that. Miami showed some cracks, but if you don't take advantage of them, they're going to hurt you. And I also, again, I want to give a credit to Mascherano because he made, again, the tough manager grown up choices, right? No Suarez. Somebody else pointed this too. I didn't even think about it. Benched Ustari before the playoffs, but benched Ustari because he wasn't giving them the results that they needed to. Gave Rios Nova the shot. Now look where they are, right? It's one of those things where as a manager you can get very very comfortable in just saying, well, this is the team. I don't want to take risks while we're heading into the playoffs. I want to have the same team going into it and be really comfortable with it. But somebody, I think it was Dax on the Major League Journeyman show doing their preview, made a really good point in that very rarely do teams playing the same exact style from regular season to playoffs find a lot of success, right? We talk about Philadelphia, we talk about Red Bull going in with their high press and it works in the regular season, but it doesn't work in playoffs. Well, now you got Miami who's like, okay, we're going to run out Suarez for 30 games and just hope for the best that his quality shines through even though we can't move. Well, now they're changing it to have Messi drop off the line and then play in behind and do all this sort of stuff. And that is giving them the success that people weren't prepared for, right? So now you only have 90 minutes to prepare for different changes, and that is such a credit to his decision to do that. So another hat tip to him in that moment.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I don't think I mean, I'll speak from my behalf. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I definitely did not give him the credit that I think he deserves. And there's definitely moments where deserved criticism towards him, but he has done, in my opinion, very well with managing this team in the playoffs. So credit to Mastrano for that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely.